So my next pick is also like The Shining, one of my all-time favorite movies in my top 5 favorite movies of all time. It is. Can anybody guess? Can anybody guess? It is not American Pie 7. It is Mulholland Drive. Mulholland Drive is just a masterpiece.
Why do you consider it scary?
Well, Barnaby, let me get to it.
Okay.
Mulholland Drive is amazing. The main thing, one of the things I love about this movie is Naomi Watts, but that's a different thing. Anyways, so Mulholland Drive, why I love it primarily is because this movie is a lot of things in one film. It's like a love story, a mystery thriller, and a horror movie. Because basically, you can't really explain the plot of a David Lynch movie, but basically the easy plot is that the film starts out with Naomi Watts coming to Los Angeles to try to be an actress. And basically she meets this girl who lost her home and who doesn't remember what happened to her. So Naomi, she takes her in, and basically that's when the mystery starts. And basically what I love about this movie, first of all, why it's so scary is because, well, first of all, it's directed by David Lynch. And I think most surrealist movies of that prestige and that talent as David Lynch are really scary. I think that, for example, Lost Highway is also, the first scene of Lost Highway is very scary. This entire film, I think, is very, very frightening. Eraserhead, like lots of, I think most Lynch movies are pretty scary. And yeah, this movie, especially, okay, there are, let's say, I think there are about 4 scenes that are just really, really frightening. The first, I'm not going to spoil anything, but basically what I want to say is that the mood in this film and the way that this film is the definition of ambiguity and just precariousness, because you don't know what's going to happen at all. Because, it's all about dreams and ambitions and stuff like that. I'm not spoiling anything, but there are a few just incredibly, the first scary thing involves a homeless person, and it's just so viscerally scary once you see this character that you just jump. Just the music adds to the fear, the precariousness, the ambiguity, just all these characters. Towards the end, there are these 2 characters that, this is incredibly original because there's just one scary part where these 2 characters who you would never really see as being scary, Lynch makes them, he basically transforms them and alters them and makes them incredibly scary. And you're like, wait, what? That just blows your mind.
That's a very big talent of Lynch's, where he makes everything scary.
The mundane scary. And we're talking about the scariest films of all time.
Do you consider it actually absolutely terrifying?
I consider it very, very scary.
Really? Up there with the thing of Shining and Texas. This
is a different fear, because in this fear, it's like all of Lynch's films are rides. This is just a ride. You just sit there and you don't know where David Lynch is going to take you. This is incredibly frightening. Whereas I think that both the super realistic stories are incredibly scary because they can actually happen, and as well the stories that there is no concrete story, which makes everything precarious, like in Black Christmas, for example. It's done in a different way, but it's surreal. Incredibly scary. Yeah, it's surreal, but I think it's just really scary.
Oh.
Okay.
Yeah, you've convinced me in a way.
And also, one more thing, I just wanted to quickly mention one of the scariest scenes in film I've ever seen, which was in Lost Highway.
Yes, I think I know what you're talking about.
The first segment of this film, the Stalker segment, is so scary. I had to hold on to my chair, because I think it's just how in this movie everything is so subtle, and then these 2 characters don't really show any emotions.
The whole film is rather the emotions are all like muted. Everyone
yes,
has
and
like
especially this first half.
blasé reactions.
It's incredible. Yeah. It's just how it's written. It's like, so we found this footage of this guy filming your house. It's like, who is that? You don't know anything about that, and everything is so quiet, and it's kind of so peaceful, but it's actually not. And man, there's this one like shot, 2 shots in this first segment, which are so surreal that they would scare me so much. And yeah, I think this is like this Lynch's style of filmmaking in this film, to make it scary, is sort of similar to Stanley Kubrick's in The Shining, where he really uses production design as well to make things just really, really ambiguous.
Feels surreal.
Everything feels surreal, and it's just filled with fear.
I think. Probably the best part of this film is that, well, Lost Highway at least, is that all the answers are there, but nothing's clearly explained, if that makes sense.
Dude.
All the answers
in
are
all
there.
of Lynch's movies,
I know, but like, especially
all the answers are technically there. Well,
it's definitely
I don't really
there.
agree with you with that.
I think so,
Because if you watch Mulholland Drive, it's the same thing. Like, technically they're all there, but they're just super hard to understand.
I know, but like in this film, nothing's really explained, but it is.
Of course. Yeah.
But I wouldn't really call it one of the scariest films. Even the opening, I wouldn't.
Me neither. I wouldn't call this film as a whole to be incredibly
say that first.
But for me, yeah, the opening scene was just really, really frightening. Just how it's so quiet and just there are no jump scares or anything.
Now, for a different kind... Now, I have to have some context before I show the next image, because it might be a little bit shocking, but for a different kind of horror, where the film itself is not made as a particularly scary film, but as watching it now, 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, 70 years later, it's absolutely terrifying.
7 years.
Now, get ready. We're not Nazis.
Or are we?
No, we're not. We're definitely not Nazis. It's Triumph of the Will
by Leni Riefenstahl.
Yes, I think this film, on a pure, like, when you're watching it, just the hatred of Adolf Hitler and the way that it's glorifying all his ideas and just this propaganda. It's showing everything in this film. The mass parades, the hate speeches, everything. All of this is presented in a positive light, which I think watching it now is absolutely terrifying because you're like, but you can see why this film swayed so many people to the Nazi ideology because it's like, oh my god, this actually makes Germany seem great, and this was at a time
great Germany can alter people's
exactly,
of course,
and it has It was at a time where Germany was very low. It just was defeated in World War One. It had all this economic troubles, and then suddenly this man comes who is able to solve everyone's problems. And this film comes along, and everyone is like, "Well, I guess
we should follow this guy.
I guess we should follow." I mean, this is after he won the election, but still, not everyone was convinced. And then this film comes out, and you're like, "Wow."
Roger Ebert gave this movie 4 stars.
It's a very incredible, it's an amazingly well-made film, and it's so powerful, but just it sort of gives an insight to how people could have followed such a horrible ideology, and because not every German was horrible.
Of course.
Only really...
Who's saying that?
I know, but people get the misconception that the Germans during World War II were all horrible people, but really, they were just desperate.
Yeah.
And this film preys on it preys on
this
depravity
of a god.
Yeah, depravity and despair. And I think just watching it now, watching his speeches now are just he's a crazy man.
Incredible speaker though.
It's definitely amazing. There's no doubt about that. But a horrible, horrible human being.
Absolutely.
It's just a completely different. This might be a surprising choice, but I honestly find it just terrifying.
Terrifying if you really think about it.
Even while watching it, you're just
absolutely.
Oh my god, what's going on? And everything's presented in a positive light.
So, do you think? So, why did you not include Cannibal Holocaust then?
Well,
if you think wow, this is so terrifying. I mean, Cannibal Holocaust is technically terrifying from all the rawness and realness of the
rawness and realness. Well, I think for me, Cannibal Holocaust, I will always think about that court case, which immediately takes if you don't know, it's basically the gore
director
scenes in that film are so good.
Yeah.
The director was like, wow, I could really do something with this. So he hid a lot of the actors away in a warehouse, but then he went to court because some people thought it was real.
Yeah, and that he actually murdered his actors on screen.
And anytime I watch that film, I'm just like, I can't do this.
Yeah, I think, like, the opening is beautiful. It's
a beautiful film.
And I think, well, same. I agree with you. Like, it's not that scary.
It's not that scary.
It's just a lot of fun.
It is brutal,
like,
but
it's a cool adventure.
I think what spoils it is the controversy. Because there's so much controversy around it. It's like, well, it can't possibly ever live up to
I guess also the reason for me why it's not incredibly scary, like Texas is, for example, is because a lot of the shots are too much documentary kind of, and it feels real, but not in the way that
it feels like trying to do
connects the audience to the to these characters. Whereas Texas, like, we are these characters that are being, you know, like, physically tortured. Whereas Cannibal Holocaust is kind of like,
I don't know. It doesn't
feels like a documentary too much.
Okay,
you know,
here we go. It never really puts you in the place of the characters.
That's exactly what it should be. Yeah, exactly. Texas, it's like everything. Well,
we feel
a lot of the stuff is POV. You're like, wow, I am this character. Whereas Cannibal Holocaust, it's kind of silly. It's a lot of fun.
Cannibal Holocaust, you're just like, wow, these guys are assholes.
Yeah, exactly. yeah. And then we won't even get into the animal torture or anything because that's just not it funny.
I think another kind of horror that we haven't really mentioned is not really so much that it's scary.
Oh, right, of course.
Not so much. I was debating whether to put this on, because I hate this film with a fiery passion. Exactly. But it's more the fact where I think, what the
similar
hell
to like
this film. I'll tell you in a second.
Like lots of movies, kind of. It's not the only one. More or less.
No, the scene that I'm talking about. Someone wrote this. Someone greenlighted this. Someone made.
Yeah, someone greenlighted this is the most important. That, like, how? Why?
If anyone has seen a Serbian film, there is a part in the film which I find morally just disgusting.
You don't really have to explain it in detail.
I'm not going to explain the scene because I don't want other people to. You can look it up. It's a morally disgusting scene, and just.
Well, the entire movie kind of.
Yes,
like,
but this
the plot of the film.
That's just like exploitation. This one scene is just like there is no way you can justify showing
like,
this kind of image.
Why did someone write this?
I don't know exactly.
Why did they
which I guess he's just messed up. But then someone was like, "Yes, let's do this." And it's like,
well, maybe it was for like shock value and
but
to get like famous and popular. I guess
that's a different kind of horror where I'm like,
what? Like why? Like, what kind of human being?
But again,
we're starting to like question the human race. Like,
it's not so much the film. Yeah. It is kind of like this.
Yeah, it is kind of like this. We're like, what is like?
Except this.
Why are humans?
It's horrifying because it's scary because we know that people thought this was good.
Serbian film is just like a movie. Like this story, like who would? Why would you write this?
But like,
the Human Centipede 2 as well.
Oh yeah,
I haven't seen it.
Needless baby death. It's like up there with needless animal cruelty.
Yeah, it's just
come on, why?
However, they did give these animals to
they gave them
the people
food, but like, come on,
to the animals,
at least they
for food, at least, but still.
And it's not like Cannibal Ferox where they just kill. It's another cannibal film where they just kill animals and then just like dump them. It's like, why?
Yep, just for shock value.
But I think honestly, like the range of films we discussed, we've like gone surreal.
Yeah, we've gone through a lot of things of like different types of horror. Like, that's scary.
There's the real life horror of Triumph of the Will, where you're just terrified. There's the gritty, realistic but not real horror of Black Christmas in Texas.
Creative horror, production design. Yeah, surreal as well. With camera movement and like filmmaking.
Well, I would say surrealism is more like Mulholland Drive, and then Shining's more like toned down.
Like horror that relies more on filmmaking.
And then we've also discussed more like sci-fi, but not more like nagging at the back of your mind.
And like
horror with
this environment that you're in.
This environment is
like if you think about it. The type of horror that, if you think about it,
it's. I think all these films, in a way, could be the scariest film of all time. One more film, just as a sort of follow-up to this, which I do think is an honourable mention. I think is a very honourable mention. It's the 1922 Nosferatu. which is actually the first adaptation of Dracula.
Yeah, it was Dracula.
It's the first adaptation of Dracula. Well, it wasn't allowed. Bram Stoker's wife was like, no, don't make this like shit.
We were telling me how like the actual actor was
Max
so
Schreck
ugly.
was so ugly that they didn't actually have to give him that much makeup.
Except just like ears, teeth, and hands.
He was that ugly.
He was that ugly. They looked like
that's more like dramatized. But like this film, okay, it's not one of the scariest films of all time, but why it's an honorable mention is because the first time I watched this, I was very tired. I was like, silent film, that could be good. But once you like let yourself be drawn into the film, there's so much creepy imagery. There's the shot where you don't see the vampire, you just see Count Orlok's shadow walking.
Sort of like Lynch movies, creepy imagery.
Well, maybe he was influenced. I don't.
Well, probably.
Was he influenced by Nosferatu? You know,
Lynch was influenced. Lynch doesn't really talk about his influences. He talks about ideas. You know, ideas.
But when you actually just watch Nosferatu as an experience, you're like, oh my god, this is creepy. And like the lack of sound and the fact that you watch this, pretty much everyone in this film is dead now.
Do you think that the actual like this character is really scary, or
I think it's more the cinematography, especially, and I think how it's dated as well makes it so scary because it's like everyone in this film's dead.
Like old,
like you're watching dead people act. It's like whoa, and then just the cinematography and use of shadows. I really think it's an honorable mention, but not one of the scariest films of all time.
Interesting question. I want to ask you. So, what do you think? What scares you the most in horror films?
Well, see, a lot of the time I watch horror movies because I think they're fun.
Yeah, of course. but as we're talking about the scariest films of all time,
I think.
Do you think it's like what we were talking about?
We've really covered the range.
Yeah.
I think realistic horror presented in an interesting way, like Texas and Black Christmas, or like the nagging horror of The Thing, The Shining, like the mood, drive, like the overall sense.
Me,
I think overall it's when they do something interesting with it.
Yeah, of course.
Because a lot of horror is very stereotypical, like white people go to shed, get murdered.
It's a slasher movie.
Which is a lot of horror movies, because slasher movies are easy. But when you do, even a slasher movie, if you do an interesting twist, like
for example, one of my favorite films of all time, High Tension.
Yes,
it's an incredible
Tension. we did not.
Well, it's not very scary, but we're just talking about like a twist. Like it starts out sort of like the Mulholland Drive thing. I love films that mix genres and like
mixing
genres well. So High Tension, it starts out as a slasher movie, but then there's this twist that I did not
didn't expect
they expect that at all, and it gets even cooler from there. And like it's so great. Like some slasher movies, if they have great writing, they can actually
I think
really
a good example is Wes Craven's New Nightmare, which is the second in the Nightmare on Elm Street series. It has a really interesting twist on the premise. Like it's set in the real world, so it's like the production of a new Nightmare on Elm Street film, but like what's happening on the set sort of coming into real life, which is really interesting. It's not one of the scariest films I've ever seen, but I love it.
It's just an interesting take.
Yeah, I love it when they do like even if it's realistic, if it's surreal, if they just make it interesting, then it can be incredibly terrifying.
For me, I think one of the most scariest things in horror film that scares me is the factor of like the environment, of how like we feel that there's no hope or something like that. Like for example, The Shining.
Well, like specific locations.
Location movies and like this environment where there's this ambiguity of that anything can happen. I find that incredibly
Talking
scary.
about ambiguity and like location, a film that we didn't talk about, but I think is definitely amazing choice of location, is Event Horizon. Because that is set kind of like Alien, it's set in a spaceship. We can't get out of the spaceship, obviously, because we'll die. But pretty much when you discover what's going on in the film, like anything could happen. It's just
like
so surreal.
Mulholland Drive,
Well, it's
because anything can happen.
Filmmaking wise, it's not as good as those.
Okay,
but like,
I haven't seen them, so.
But the way that, like the actual story, how it progresses, like you could, anything can happen in this film. It's just the location and just the ambiguity of what's going to happen is so good.
speaking about like more like this dreamy environment as well, I think that Jacob's Ladder is a good example because in Jacob's Ladder, it's not very scary, but if you just
that hell scene,
if you watch it at the right time, feeling the right, I guess, feeling the right mood.
The one
if you
scene,
just zone into
one
it,
scene that always gets me is the hell scene.
Yeah, the hell scene.
That is a good.
Basically, this movie, if you just zone into it and just experience this dreamy, mood, then you start seeing this super creepy imagery, right, of hell, for example, or of these random characters in the car. Of how the main character like sees it's very subtle, and like he sees these like scary images or scary faces. It's not the scariest film of all time, but like in terms of mood, it works really well. And this film's like interpretation of what hell is like. It's great. It's like the best hell interpretation I've ever seen. It's pretty much I don't watch a lot of hell movies like that. That's a great like imagining of hell, just really frightening and just like precarious and just like the main thing is that there's no hope. That's what's really scary. And the the headless thing.
Out of these films, because these are the films that we find the scariest, but do you think we can find the scariest?
Well, I think all film and all art is subjective. So I think for us,
I mean, it's kind of vain of us to like.
I suppose.
But I think out of these films, I'm really stuck.
I would say on an effect level, I think Texas is definitely the scariest in terms of like visceral.
I would put
horror.
For me personally, it would be like maybe Texas, and very tiny bit behind would be Black Christmas, because just the idea.
Do you really think Black Christmas is that scary?
The idea of being in your comfort zone, even there, it's not safe. I mean,
well, for me personally, I would classify it as more or less being the scariest film of all time would be Texas, and the second would be The Shining for me personally, because these films very different in like horror, because like in The Shining, it's more or less that there's like no hope in this environment, whereas in Texas, this is like real and it could happen. And it's like all raw. So it's
as we said, it's
different types of horror, but I think all cinema is subjective.
So we can't.
But we think that these films, these choices that we've chosen, are more or less the scariest films of all time.
I think definitely, and Triumph of the Will. I mean, you may disagree with me on this, but honestly, for me, it's terrifying. At least
the message, is just
the power of the film is terrifying. So if you have any opinion,
exactly.
What's your scariest film?
What do you guys think is the scariest film of all time? Leave us in the comments below, or if it's too hard to think of like the scariest film of all time,
just a list.
Maybe your top 5 or something of what you think the scariest film of all time is.
I would seriously love to know, because like so much horror is subjective.
I love horror cinema because it's just it's
so creative.
Exactly.
And it doesn't necessarily have to be a horror movie. It could be like Triumph of the Will.
Or Mulholland Drive, which is technically not a horror movie. Because film is so creative.
Like Star Wars or something.
Sure.
Or Clock of Orange, that could be quite hard. If you have any, films that you want to suggest, to say, or like maybe films I haven't seen, suggest. Leave in the comment section below.
That's pretty much it, right? So have a happy Halloween.
Don't forget to like and subscribe.
Like and subscribe.
If you enjoyed it.
If you didn't, don't still like if you didn't.
Still like and
subscribe. Subscribe for more film reviews of new movies. We will really try to make more like film talk once more. Of like specific film topics. We'll try to make more videos like that. And that's pretty much it. Thank you very much for watching.
Thank you.
See you soon. Bye.